Tell Me About It is brought to you by Don Franklin Auto of Glasgow and Extreme Health Club.
Trevent, Hayes, KY Sports TV.
Forgot your name, huh?
No, I forgot what I was going to say.
This is James Brown, 104 The Score. We're here on the Glasgow EPB Channel 6, the local channel, with Tell Me About It. You can catch us there on Thursday at 6 p.m., like right now, every Thursday at 6 p.m., and on their YouTube channel. And you can find some links through kysports.tv social and the 104 The Score social. Trevent?
Yes, sir.
Basketball season is over locally, meaning Barron, Trevent, Glasgow. They are out. We had several teams that played in regional tournaments, both boys and girls. We're going to talk about the girls first because on the flip side of things, the girls' state tournament kicked off on Wednesday morning.
It did. Starting with the fifth region, I guess. Bardstown Bethlehem is who we pretty much picked to win that region.
Yeah.
They beat Taylor County in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
Hart County did make it to the second round as far as any of the local teams. But that was pretty much a one-horse race per se.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the Hart County making it. I think Dia Bradley, she was all-tournament team.
She was all season.
All season, all-tournament.
And all tournament.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if I'm not mistaken, she played pretty well in the final game. It's just, sometimes you just run into a better team
That had a few more athletes.
Yeah.
And the Grace Bale young lady from Taylor, she was also all region.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a standout player. And I actually spoke to her dad via Facebook this past weekend, and he was talking about the matchup with her and Dia.
Mm-hmm.
And thank goodness for the fifth region, because I was 5 for 5.
Mm-hmm. In the fifth region?
In the fifth. Unlike the fourth, it was absolutely terrible.
I mean, I tried to warn you.
Oh, well, James,
I mean, but look.
What?
So on the flip side of that, I mean, your predictions were good. They were reasonable predictions last week. I think a couple of things that happened, though, when you look at the Metcalfe County team, they just had not played anyone like Bowling Green in their schedule during the course of the season.
Right.
And when I was looking back over their schedule, there were 3 teams. I think Pulaski County is in the state tournament. They played them. I think they lost to them by about 25.
Mm-hmm.
There was a team out of Alabama, I think it was, that Briarwood. No. Anyway, it's a school out of Alabama, out of the Birmingham area. I think they're usually pretty good when I was looking at them. I think they played them maybe at Gatlinburg over Christmas. They lost them by about 20 or so. And I don't remember, there was another one on their schedule that I don't know if they qualified for the state tournament. It was one of the better teams in the state. And so they had kind of taken the lumps from those teams that were going to be state tournament potential teams.
In their respective areas.
Yeah, so they had played some good teams in their schedule. It's just their schedule otherwise, that 16th district turned out to be kind of weird that they play in. So they played 8 games in the 16th district since there are 5 teams there.
Right.
And I think they had lost to Clinton County during the regular season there. Otherwise, I think they had won. They may have lost a game to, I think they split with Monroe during the regular season. I think they were 6-2 in the district. So just that district didn't quite have the same power as playing Bowling Green.
Right.
Playing in that district. And their schedule outside of those 3 teams didn't really either. And I guess if I'm Coach Coleman and she's got everybody back next year, one of the things she's going to have to look at is upgrading that schedule, because next year the slate's going to be pretty open in the girls' 4th region.
Right.
I'd say Barron's going to be an early favorite, but Bowling Green's losing their 3 key players that have really led them the last 4 years. And so if they want to get over that hill, they're going to have to figure out a way to elevate that schedule probably.
And, I did pick Russellville over Barron.
Yeah.
And it was more heart than anything, honestly.
Not a bad pick.
Coach Hayton is one of my friends. And I think Coach Hayton actually I think that Russellville team overachieved this year.
Yeah. Considering what they lost from last season, and even though Cawthorn was coming back, just a sophomore, and Collier was coming back, she is a senior, but she's really a softball player first. She's a fun basketball player. She's a heck of a softball player. Morris was coming back. But outside of that, they didn't have a lot, that they were going to be looking at. And so I thought they did pretty well for Coach Hayden. They obviously played real well down the stretch.
Yes. Barron County really doesn't lose anybody.
No, Macy Lockhart got hurt. She was one of the two seniors, so they haven't had her since Christmas. Addison Smith was the other senior. She's tenacious defender. As we saw in that Russellville game, she'll do all the dirty work and dive on the floor for the loose ball. She's, you got to have those kind of players. But in terms of like who they lean on to score, rebound predominantly, they're all coming back. So,
and I think we agreed that this year was probably the weakest that the 4th region girls has been in probably the last, since, like you said, they sanctioned and had a state tournament for girls.
If you think about the history of the girls' 4th region, they sanctioned the first tournament, I think, in 1975. The KHSAA did.
I thought it was 74, but you could be right.
Well, I think it was the season started in 74. I think the championship's in 75.
75, okay.
So Barron County played in the state finals that first season, all right? And every year, that's just in the 15th district, but every year from basically the first year of girls sanctioned basketball in this return in the 70s, there was a 4th region team every year that was a threat, and the 4th region usually one of the best regions in the state.
And we look back at some of those teams, the Barron County teams in the 70s and 80s, but also in the 80s you had Allen County Scottsville, that had Andrea Starks, Warren Central that had Clement Haskins. Pam Gooch. At Franklin Simpson. And then, in the early 90s, you had the Franklin Simpson, all the Franklin Simpson teams.
Warren East.
You also had Warren East that had Britt and Johnson, and they actually won the state, didn't they?
They may have.
I think they won it one of those years.
Maybe 96?
Yes.
Okay. Because in 97, the funny thing that happened in 97 was that was the first year John Butler, as a coach at Barron County, won the region. Warren East was ranked number 1 in the state, and they beat them in the regional final. And so, but that also just tells you how close that was. You had the number 1 team in the state playing in the region, and another team in the region was able to beat them, and it was tight throughout. Versus when you look at this season, Bowling Green basically won every game by 20 points that they played in the tournament, in the postseason. And Franklin had an outstanding regional tournament. But when you get down to it, it was those 3 key players, Meadow Tisdale, Sanaya Shelton, and Tanea Bailey, that they leaned on offensively pretty much the whole time. And then that kind of caught up with them, I think, Wednesday morning in the state tournament against Owensboro Catholic.
It did. They Bowling Green missed several free throws, and I think they got beat 51-48,
Something
3-point
like that,
game. And Coach Head has done a remarkable job. This is 4 or 5 in a row.
They won 4 regions in a row. Now they're the
4
first team to
regions
do
in
that.
a row, and this is by far the least talented team that he's had.
Yeah.
And he still found a way to win the region.
Yep. All right. We're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the boys' regional tournaments.
At Don Franklin, we're more than a group of car dealerships. We're hardworking, everyday people of Kentucky. We strive daily to give 110% to our customers, our employees, and our families. We are committed to providing everyone with a safe and reliable vehicle, and we continue our tradition of supporting our local communities. At all 24 dealerships across Kentucky, we will treat you like family. Don Franklin Family of Dealerships, we are Kentucky.
Extreme Fitness has doubled in size. Now, with over 8,000 square feet of co-ed weights and an upgraded 90-degree saline therapy pool. The Extreme Fitness Campus also holds the exclusive Extreme Fitness for Women complex and Extreme Blend smoothie bar. You have to experience the variety of classes to realize the impact they have on their clients. Personal training is with the best in the business and is available and tailored to fit individuals. So start your journey today at Extreme Fitness and Health Club.
Welcome back to Tell Me About It. Trevent Hayes here with James Brown. We established a little bit ago that my picks in the 4th region were absolutely terrible for the girls.
They weren't they were good picks. It's just that
my record was not well.
Yes, there you go. Your record was terrible.
It was terrible. So we're going to go to the boys' 5th regional tournament. Okay. I fared pretty good with the boys, but I'm a man of my word, and I called James night before last, and told him, you was right. In a previous show, we talked about the boys' 5th region, and you talked about the 17th district, and how the 5th region always has to go through the 17th district. And LaRue County was the clear-cut favorite to win the region. They beat Central Hardin in a close game. They beat Washington County by about 12 or 13. But in the top bracket, Greene lost to Bardstown. E-Town comes out, so E-Town beats Bardstown.
By 22, I think.
22. And
then they mess around and win the region.
Won the region. It went through the 17th district anyway.
Well, and what we talked about was just the way the bracket had shaped up. It was going to be...
Your 3 heavy teams were in the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, with Washington County, Taylor County, and LaRue County. So they were going to have to go through each other, whichever way it worked out, which meant... And we talked about this last week, too, like Bardstown... Boo Brewer always comes up with something. But his team wasn't that good this year, in that sense. I mean, he's able to win games, but they weren't that good. And so it had kind of shaped up that it was going to be, Elizabethtown had a good path to get to that final. You get in that last game and anything can happen. And they always...
That's what happened. Coach Hare is a remarkable coach, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he has a state championship. He's been to the finals.
He could have had 2 state championships. We forget about the 2020 getting canceled.
It got canceled, and they had by far, I think, the best team in the state.
So it was going to be interesting because Ashland would have entered that tournament undefeated. I think Elizabethtown had a couple of losses. I think they had played during the regular season that year, close to the end of the season. Ashland had won the game, but it was like a real close game. They were on the opposite sides of the bracket, so everybody's like, oh, we got an excellent chance for these 2 teams to get there. Then tournament got canceled.
And that E-Town team was one of the best shooting teams that I've ever seen in the 5th region in high school basketball. They had 6 or 7 guys that could consistently hit the 3.
When I think I had seen them that year early in the season, Barron usually plays E-Town. I'm pretty sure they played them at the start of that season. I believe that's where I saw them. I'd seen them earlier in the year. And when I saw them earlier in the year, I was like, that's a team that has everything. And, all those guys are gone, I think. I don't think any of them were still around. So it is pretty impressive because I did see them at the beginning of this year when they played Barron. And it was a close game. The big guy for E-Town caused Barron some problems early in the season. Aiden Miller hadn't quite come into his own inside he was straight off the football field, really.
Right.
So later in the season, I think he'd have given that guy a lot of problems. But at that time, he caused Barron quite a few problems, and they had a couple of decent shooters. So the biggest problem that they have going in the state tournament is matchups with size-wise, because they'll have more people who they're going to face. They're going to have some big guys that are going to body up on that dude and maybe cause them some problems.
And there was actually, around the state before we just go to the 4th region, there was a lot of upsets Tuesday night.
Yeah, I'd say perceived upsets, right? Because Jeffersontown beat DeSales, but Jeffersontown was there last year.
Right.
So maybe that's not as big an upset. Woodford County beat Collins. Woodford County's record's not great, but if you look at the schedule they played, man, they played the toughest possible schedule they could put together. And they got a couple of dudes who are bona fide, outstanding high school basketball players. So
I think the male Trinity was the one I was the most surprised at.
You know, probably, maybe, but Male was there last year. And I start to see some of these outcomes, and I start thinking to myself, how much does that experience pay in? Even if you weren't a player who was a starter on that team last year, competing in practice and getting to the state tournament and seeing what it takes, maybe that elevates when the newer people come in. That's why these programs seem to be consistently on top.
And you look at George Rogers Clark, their season was nothing the way everybody predicted it. You know, the defending state champs, but they're back.
Yeah, and I had goofed up last week. I was looking at something. I thought they had lost in their district. I think maybe they lost in their district final. I'm not sure.
They lost a game in the district.
Well, it had to be in the district final, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because they beat Mason County in the regional final on Tuesday.
Right. But the biggest matchup that everybody, I don't think it's going to be that great of a game, but everybody is looking for that North Laurel and Lyon County matchup because you've got Reed Shepherd, who's already committed to Kentucky.
Yeah.
And
Tyler Perry. Travis Perry. He's not doing Big Mama's house. It's Travis Perry.
Yeah, he's doing Big Mama's house. He's doing everybody's house. He's scored like 3,200 points.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, depending on how deep Lyon County goes in the state tournament, he could break King Kelly Coleman's record at the state tournament and still have a year of high school left.
So that again, so he has a COVID year, right? He took the COVID year.
I'm guessing so, because he is a junior listed.
So, just real quick, how do you feel about that? Like, this kid's going to break the record. If he doesn't break it this year, in the first 3 games next year, he'll break it. How do you feel about these guys that only got to play 4 years of high school, setting these records, and then, you know, some of these kids started playing high school as 6th and 7th graders.
Yeah.
So instead of getting 4 years, you're getting 6. So if you've had 6 years and you took the COVID year, now you have 7 years to do those things.
So here's the deal. Coleman, I think, has a year that he played when he was in the 8th grade that's not included in that record, in his record.
Gotcha.
So not only is it only 4 years, I think he actually has some points. And that may only be 80 or 90 points. I don't know. That's not also included in that. And I guess I feel that way about so many records when it comes to things like scoring records. It's kind of a longevity thing anyway. Or it may be your team was so bad, because I think Coleman only played in the state tournament once, and that was his senior year, if I'm not mistaken. So you're just the only dude out there who could score. It's sort of like the George Mikan principle, right? You're the only 6'10" dude playing basketball.
So we're going to give it to you every time.
Yeah, I mean, so how many shots do you get up? I'm not saying he wasn't a great player. I have no idea. I'm just saying when you start looking at these numbers historically, there's all kinds of caveats that can be attached to them.
4th region. Pretty good tournament. We kind of, decided last week that it would be Bowling Green and Central in the finals.
Yep.
I actually said Barron County would upset Bowling Green, and that was very possible.
Yeah.
Monday night, that was very possible.
It was a good game. Barron got into a hole in the first quarter, and usually teams don't get out of that one against Bowling Green. And then they got out of that hole. I think they took a lead. They gave up another run to start the second half. They never could quite get out of that one. I think they had a couple opportunities maybe to get within a basket, and they just Bowling Green missed some free throws on the front end and ones.
And it gave Barron a chance, but
Yeah.
Barron didn't come down and capitalize on it.
Yeah, they just couldn't get them in. So in the end, we wound up with the same 2 teams we've pretty much seen for 22 years now in the regional final.
And Tuesday night was probably one of the most exciting games that I've watched in a while.
Yeah, it was a good one. Bowling Green had the moxie with all those young dudes to get back and tie the game, send it in overtime. In the overtime, Warren Central ran a beautiful play to get that lead basket.
Yes.
back screen on the baseline, and just threw kind of a alley-oop to Kate Unseld, and he caught it in the air and twisted in the air and hit it off the glass. Bowling Green's last shot bounced off the rim. Actually, I think it got tipped and bounced off the rim. So, Warren Central goes on. But yeah, it was a great game. I thought Central actually played pretty tight in the second half.
It was not one of their better games
No.
that I've watched them play. But I will say this, from the first game until last night, it's going to take a very talented team to beat Warren Central next week in the state tournament.
I do believe that they will play more loosely in the state tournament than they did in that regional championship game, and that's going to bode well for them.
And it's hard. That was the fourth matchup of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Your rivalry.
Yeah.
Bowling Green never has a pep section. And
No,
last
they
night
showed up
they
pretty
actually
late.
had probably 100 kids.
Yeah.
And they were just barking at Chappelle Whitney, and I showed James a message, and the kid, he went off last night.
Yeah.
He put the team on his back and
Yeah.
took them where they needed to be, and but it was just a great atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
What high school basketball should be.
Yeah. And you're going to talk to Coach Unseld, and we don't know which two players.
Which
but a couple
players are coming, but we'll have them on our next segment.
Yep.
Excited to hear what he has to say.
Yeah. He's always interesting.
Very interesting. He's
So-
an interesting player as well.
Was he?
Yes.
I wasn't
Yes.
around for that.
I know, you was in Mississippi.
Covering Al Jefferson.
Okay. Well, we're going to take another break, and when we come back, we'll have Coach Will Unseld and some of the Warren Central Dragons. We'll be back in just a few.
At Don Franklin, we're more than a group of car dealerships. We're hardworking, everyday people of Kentucky. We strive daily to give 110% to our customers, our employees, and our families. We are committed to providing everyone with a safe and reliable vehicle, and we continue our tradition of supporting our local communities. At all 24 dealerships across Kentucky, we will treat you like family. Don Franklin Family of Dealerships, we are Kentucky.
Extreme Fitness has doubled in size, now with over 8,000 square feet of co-ed weights and an upgraded 90-degree sailing therapy pool. The Extreme Fitness campus also holds the exclusive Extreme Fitness for Women complex and Extreme Blend smoothie bar. You have to experience the variety of classes to realize the impact they have on their clients. Personal training is with the best in the business and is available and tailored to fit individuals. So start your journey today at Extreme Fitness and Health Club.
Trevent Hayes, welcome back to our last segment of Tell Me About It. Tonight we have the 4th Region Player of the Year, Chappelle Whitney, and the coach of the Warren Central Dragons, Will Unseld. First of all, I want to thank you guys for coming on the show with us. Coach Unseld, we'll start with the beginning of the season. We'll save the best for last.
All right.
You guys started off really good, and you ran into your first loss to Madison Central.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about how Madison Central kind of forced your hand in that game.
Well, not to take anything away from Madison Central, they played a great game, and we should have lost that game. I think we came back from Kingdom Bluegrass on a Tuesday, took off that Wednesday, came in, lifted weights that Thursday, and that's when the bad weather came in. I think we was off Friday, Saturday. We came in Christmas night and shot for about 45 minutes, and just left and didn't know we wasn't gonna get to practice on Monday. So we went in that game. We had no game plan. We just went and played. And more than anything, it was they had a great game plan. They played hard. They shot it well. It took everything we had to get back in the game, and it was something I told the kids after the game. I said, I'm not mad we lost. I'm mad y'all didn't take care. Half of them haven't went to sleep in days. We had to have that discussion. You can tell. They kept coming to the sideline. Man, I can't feel my legs. I can't feel my body. So we had to get those things in order. And you need some adversity to handle the stuff you need to do. Like, all right, fellas, y'all got to make sacrifices if we want to do something special. So they started seeing that then.
Well, Coach, I've had the pleasure of getting to see you guys play a few times through the season. Very impressed. I think your average margin of victory is close to 30 points.
Yeah, like 25, 26. It was, yeah.
Yes, but I really got to watch you guys, the whole week during the regional tournament. And on Tuesday night, you guys played Bowling Green.
Yep.
Fourth time you played them this year. I had told somebody, actually James, my co-host, who's not here with us this afternoon, but I had told him that not only the region, but the state, in my eyes, was Warren Central's to lose. And I feel like that the only team in the state of Kentucky that can beat Warren Central is Warren Central.
Yeah, well, you know what? We talk about that all the time. And we almost beat ourselves last night. Now, all credit to Bowling Green. They played well. Those young kids were playing hard. You know what? There was nothing, there's no pressure on them. Just go play. We're up 9 with 5 minutes to go. Take a bad shot. Go down the other end and give up a 3 because we don't communicate and get lost on defense. And all of a sudden, you're talking about a game that was 9, and all of a sudden it's 6. And then I think we turn it over or something right after that. Then now it's 4 and 3, and the game changes. I tell the kids all the time, we honestly, for the most part, I wouldn't say dominated the game, but we had control of the game for 27 minutes. And then in the last 5 minutes, we gave them a chance. That's how quick a game could change, because we were led between 8 and 14 for pretty much 27 minutes of the game. And that quick, the game changed. And then they got confidence, and we came down, and I think we were just trying to hit a home run to put them back out, and we were missing, and they were going back down, making shots. But, credit to my kids, man. We needed a tough game like that heading into the state tournament. They made plays. That's what I told them going to overtime. Figure out a way to win. I don't know what else to tell you, but figure out a way to win, and we did a good job of executing that last play and getting a layup.
And Chappelle, we'll kind of go reverse with you. We'll talk about last night first, and then we'll go to the regular rest of the season. Last night, early in the first quarter, I actually sent a tweet out, and I posted on Facebook that if Bowling Green loses, that it's their pep section's fault. They started chirping at you, and you came down and hit a few threes. And how does it motivate you when other players and the fans are totally against you?
It gets me going. I say I like when people are going against me. I like feeling like the pressure. It makes me come out and play my best game, and it makes me focus in and get my teammates involved and get my team going and help us get the victory.
I tell people when I talk about the Warren Central team, it's, of course, we have the Player of the Year, who apparently earned that right. Yep. He was the best player in the 4th region this year.
Yep.
But even if he's not on,
yep,
you've got probably one of the top 3 juniors in the state of Kentucky with Cade.
Yep.
You also have Demarion Walkup, who's probably one of the most athletic kids in the state of Kentucky. And if he's not on, you have IV. But I think what really drives Warren Central, and this is just me, is the tenacity that Amarian Glover brings.
He is, well, I tell people this all the time. The 2 most important people on our team is him and IV, because they can affect the game without scoring. It's like last night he had 2 points, but he had 8 rebounds, 5 or 6 assists.
Yes.
And he guards.
And his defense was crazy.
He guards. He does a whole lot of little things that people can't see. For really like Chappelle and Cade to really affect the game, it's scoring and rebounding. But for like Mar, IV, and Omari, they don't have to score to affect the game. They can do all the other pieces. So that's what makes us a dynamic group. It could be the night before Cade had 20. The next night, Chappelle has 24. That's what makes us dynamic and versatile. All those guys can score the basketball, and they're okay with it being each other's night any given night. But Amari Glover, I tell people all the time, I've had college coaches call me. I said, well, the difference between like him and Mar Walkup is Mar's going to make one play every game where you go, oh, wow. At the end of the game, you're going to look at the stat sheet and see Amari Glover's stats and go, okay, he's making all the plays to really help you win. And they're both like that. Mar, same way, but he's going to make the special play, the freaky play where he blocks the shot and goes right back and dunks it. He gets out in transition, he runs. And Omari Glover is just going to stuff the sheet the whole night, rebounds, assists, steals, 10, 12 points when he needs it. So he is the it guy, and people concentrate so much on Chappelle and Cade all, with their defense, it allows them sometimes, one of the games against Bowling Green, he had 22 points, 18 rebounds. The games like that where he loves the big moments. He's going to compete. He's a winner, man. All these kids are. They love, Chappelle loves a big moment. If you go back and look at his numbers, his best games are against our better teams.
Right.
The Bowling Greens, the Louisville Westerns, the Great Crossings, the Lebanon Tennessees, those type of games, man, he gets going for those games and those matchups. Chappelle reminds me of George Fant in the matter of when George was with us, he always played better against people people thought were better than him. And Chappelle's the same way. Well, okay, we're going to play this team. If they think he's better than me, well, I'm going to show him he's not.
That was the case last night.
Yeah.
From the other guys on Media Row, per se, all I heard was Mason Ritter. Mm-hmm. And not taking anything away from him.
Mason's
but
great.
Mason can play.
Yep.
But when it was time to hammer that nail in,
yep.
My grandmother used to say cream rises to the top. And your numbers last night were just phenomenal, especially in a regional final game against your not only your district and region rival, but also your rival. So leading up to that game, how do you feel like you've played throughout the whole season?
I think I played really well. I always come in ready to work every day in practice. I'm ready to learn, see everything through, watch film, listen to my teammates. Before the game, during the game, I listen to my teammates. My point guard tells me what to do. If I'm messing up, he'll correct me. I'm always listening to G, all my teammates. So I think I played pretty good. That's really it right now. Yeah.
At one point last night, you guys were where I can tell you're not a talker, so I won't ask you a lot of questions. At one point last night, there was a play that happened, and I think you realized that you didn't make the correct play, and Cade reminded you that you didn't make the right play. How is it with the younger leadership on the team?
I won't say Cade's younger than us. I think me and Cade been playing since our freshman year, so I think Cade's really a senior with me. He's really with our group, so when Cade says something, it's still like mature. I know he knows what he's talking about, so I'm listening to Cade too.
Okay. And speaking on Amari's assist, Amari actually made the pass to Cade for the game winner.
Yep.
Coach, you guys have won the regional tournament. This is your sixth time winning. Mm-hmm. Last year, you got beat in the finals by 2? One. So just without losing anybody, you have to be the favorite going in. So you're going to have a target on your back. But I feel that you guys got a great draw in this state tournament. How do you feel about that? You open up with Pulaski County. How do you feel about the brackets?
Well, you know what? I like the fact that if you win the first game, you get a day of rest. Last year we ended up playing 3 games in 24 hours, in less than 24 hours. We played Friday night at 8, Saturday at 1:30, and Saturday at 7, and we jumped on our backs in the fourth quarter. On paper, it might look like we got a great draw, but you're in the state tournament, and you've been there a lot. Crazy things have happened. So we got to go bring our best basketball game against Pulaski County and moving forward. Those teams are there for a reason. They beat some really good teams, so that lets us know they can really play. So we got to do our job and lock in and focus and share the ball and really guard with passion and rebound with passion. And I think we'll be okay. But it's a tall task. But I've told people this from the get-go. It's going to be hard for us to duplicate what we did last year. That was special. Can we do it? Yes. But we got to figure out how to get it done.
Well, everybody's going to come to the state tournament, of course, to watch all 16 teams. Mm-hmm. You guys are probably the most decorated team, along with George Rogers Clark, the defending champions. Mm-hmm. But I think the game that everybody is excited to see is the matchup between Perry and Shepherd.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Combined already, it's over close to 7,000 points. Mm-hmm. But I just don't think that if you guys were to meet up, we talk about Coach Boo Brewer up at Bardstown.
Mm-hmm. That's my brother.
Boo doesn't necessarily always have basketball players.
No.
But Boo always has that. He always has athletes. Mm-hmm. And you guys are the same way. I tell Demarion's grandfather and mother, if you guys would have allowed that kid to put on shoulder pads and go catch passes, he's an NFL receiver. But you guys have guys that can do so many things. I think that's what makes you guys so dangerous.
It does, man. We've had those guys, man. We taught them how to play the way we like to play. We don't call a whole bunch of plays. We teach them how to play basketball together and share it. And everybody gets to touch the ball, which is a key. You know, some teams come down and run a set play from one guy 27 times. Well, we don't do that because what's the rest of the other guys are going to be like, well, I'm not part of this. So we try to teach them how to all be, and our best players still take the most shots. So that's the way we deal with that. You know, the fun thing about Mario is he actually played football for a year. It wasn't, you know, it's hard to get a kid to go back out when they didn't win a game. And I used to tell him, man, go out there and be a safety or outside linebacker, corner. But he never wanted to, you know, so I don't push him. But I always tell kids, play more than one sport. Because he got the capability to be doing great things on either thing because he's so athletic and long. And he's really he's the heartbeat of the team with his personality, man. You know, he comes in that locker room, he's smiling, he's joking, he's giggling, he keeps everybody relaxed and eased. He's a great kid.
See, I've been following these guys for, you guys played in the middle school all-star game at Bowling Green Middle School. That's been several years ago. And I remember before Demarion really realized who I was, I mean, his personality just gravitated to you.
Yes.
He realized that we were with KY Sports TV, and I actually had on a pair of Yeezys, and he was like, yo, let me take a picture of you with your Yeezys on.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just, those are the kind of kids that you really want on your team. Even when last night, you talked about bad shots. And I can tell you the bad shot, he came down and shot a three. And you talked to him, and nothing changed with him.
No.
I mean, he just kept playing. And, you know, I've through all the games that I've watched you guys play, I haven't seen any of your kids let emotions get the best of them.
No, they tried to do a good job of controlling it. When I think Chappelle took a bad three out the corner, Mar took a bad three, and Cade shot a bad three. You know, like I'll tell those guys, those aren't bad shots. It's the time and situation that makes them a bad shot. Any other time in the game, those are great shots. But at the time and situation when we're up 9 trying to win a basketball game, now we need to take time out the clock and shoot easy shots, layups, where we can keep building the lead. All that does is you miss those shots now and gives the other opportunity a chance to get on the run and make shots. They understood. They learned. We haven't been in many close ones like that, so it was good. Now that's something we could focus on going into the state tournament is those late game situations and understanding, all right, just because you're open at that moment don't mean it's a good shot at that moment. It's the time and situation of the game that dictates that.
Well, Coach, I often, when I discuss your coaching style and the way that you conduct yourself with different people, you know, I've never really seen you holler at a kid. And last night, honestly, last night was probably the longest amount of time that I seen you stand up.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like your kids know what their job is.
Yep.
And even when, you know, early in the game, when they started making a few mistakes, you know, you let them play through it. Even with the Warren East game.
Yeah, we're going to do that, man. I'm a firm believer in that. You're going to make mistakes. Now, how you respond to the mistake is we're going to dictate if I take you out or not. So if you turn it over or take a bad shot, I'm going to tell you, man, that's a bad shot. Keep playing. I tell them all that. Even though I take you out, you're going to go get some water, you're going back in, but that's a bad shot. But no, I don't bark as much as I used to. My first few years, my players will tell you, they come back and watch. They tell those kids all the time, well, y'all lucky. He didn't coach us like that. You know, it was fire and brimstone back then. It's more love and passion with these guys. Now, we still get after them. I still bark, but it is at a minimum rate just because they're really good kids. You know, they're really good kids. And you know, even though when I bark on them, it's still love behind it. I get on pale, and later on, I'll be like, you know, right after I get on, I still love you. Bad shot, but I still love you. You know, you didn't guard on that end. I still love you. Now go play. Yeah, I got you. You go out and play, you know. So kids are different. So you got to coach these kids different. Like Omari Glover, sometimes I bark at him just because I know where to get him going. He'll go compete. But some of the other ones, I don't bark at because they can't handle that. So he's the main one. If I want to bark at somebody, I'll go at him, and he might go get the next 10 rebounds.
And it's good to have those kind of athletes on your team.
Yes.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you guys coming in to talk to us. And hopefully you guys will fare well next week. Chappelle is the big stage.
Yes, sir.
And you know what they say, you know, big players, when the popcorn starts popping, the big players show up. So I don't have any doubts at all that you guys will be ready to play. And we want to thank you guys for tuning in this week with us on Tell Me About It. Trevent Hayes with KY Sports TV, Glasgow Electric Plant Board, Channel 6, the local channel. And until next week, you guys have a good week.